Good morning and welcome to Sunrise to Sunset with Pastor Gene. It is Friday, September the 17th, and I rejoice that you have chosen to spend this time together as we continue looking at the Gospel of Matthew. Today we're going to look at Matthew 17, and we're just going to look at the very first 13 verses of this because this is one of the most important stories about Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew. And for the early church, especially right after the death and resurrection and ascension of Jesus, this story was pretty big. Probably bigger. Well, no, I shouldn't say that because I didn't live back then and you didn't either. So that would be a stretch and we don't want to do that. It would, in the mind of a community of faith that had strong Jewish ties, like we've been talking about in the Gospel of Matthew, it would have a special meaning to those folks because what happens is Jesus and his disciples, they go up to a high mountain by themselves to meditate, to pray, and this sort of thing. And then all of a sudden, Jesus starts to glow, gets looking dazzling white. And then appearing with Jesus right there in front of Peter, James, and John. So there's three, that's going to be important later on. There's three witnesses. Right in front of Peter, James, and John appear Moses, the lawgiver. Another Matthew connection with the Old Testament. Elijah, the prophet, another connection with the Old Testament. Who do men say that I am? Some say Elijah or one of the prophets. But who do you say that I am? You see, there's a sequence going on here. Notice in the transition, Moses appears here, but back in Peter's confession when they were talking about what who people said Jesus was, nobody said he was Moses because Moses was the top of the food chain for those folks. He's the one that gave the law. He was especially the top of the food chain for the Pharisees, who believed that the only way to be faithful was to be obedient to the law, and they were using all those little tricks to get Jesus in and around some of the issues of the law to try to disprove who he was, his power, as he grew ever popular and ever beloved among people for the things he was doing, the miracles of healing and feeding. Anyway, so when the disciples see this happen, they are just overwhelmed. I mean, what a religious experience! What a mountaintop religious experience! How do you get any better than Moses, Elijah, and Jesus? And they're all up there. So Peter, James, and John, they want to hold on to that. So they say, let's build 3 booths or tabernacles, and let's build 3 ways of saying, we're going to stay right here. This is wonderful, but you can't do that. With all the great experiences that we have in our faith, there comes a time when you have to come down the mountain and go out into the valley. There comes a time where you have to take this education and this inspiration and go do something about it. And so that's what they're going to do. Then Jesus says it's not time to tell everybody the vision. And they said to him, why then do the scribes say that Elijah must come first? And he says, Elijah is indeed coming and will restore all things. But I tell you that Elijah has already come. And they did not recognize him, but they did to him whatever they pleased. So also the Son of Man is about to suffer at their hands. Then the disciples understood that he was speaking to them about John the Baptist. What a lesson. What a lesson for disciples, for the original disciples, and for disciples today. God's grace is already at work before we even know, before we even understand it. God's grace through Jesus is saving us and has saved us through faith. and God's grace is present with us from sunrise to sunset.